OpenAI just held their Dev Day for 2025 and made some very interesting announcements in my opinion. And amongst them is their native AI agents drag and drop builder like we have in at 8N, and SORA being available for everybody instead of having to have the code to be able to use it. So these are the two things we're going to be focusing on in this video. But before we get to it, here are the things that were announced so that you don't feel left out if you haven't seen it. The first one is apps in ChatGPT, which basically allows us to directly interact with third-party applications through ChatGPT, telling it to basically take actions on our behalf. Then we got Agent Kit, which is the native AI agents builder that I was talking about. And then we have SORA 2 in the API, which makes me super happy because a while back when they introduced O3, I remember buying a lot of credits in order to be able to get early access to it. So finally, those credits are going to prove useful because generating videos using SORA is pretty expensive. And as you can see, we have three different models here. SORA 2, which costs 10 cents per second. That's SORA 2 Pro costing 30 seconds per second. And SORA 2 Pro again, but just I think the difference is the resolution. And in this video, we are going to be trying all these three different models with the same prompt so that we can see what the difference really is. So definitely stay tuned for that. But with that said, let's continue with the other things that were talked about in this event. We got Codex. What they talked about regarding Codex was just the new improvements they brought to the model and also new features like integration, as you can see here, and also about Codex now being generally available instead of being in a preview state. And the next thing we have here is GPT-5 Pro being in the API as well, and the cost for that is I think $15 per million input and $120 per million output, which obviously is pretty expensive. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be using this for other than just experimenting with certain use cases. And after that, they also introduced GPT Real-Time Mini, which apparently costs 70% less than the previous large model. And based on what Sam said in the event, it also performs on par with this. And finally, they also talked about GPT Image 1 Mini, which is a smaller image generation model that's 80% less expensive than the large model. All right, so now let's actually get to the focus of this video. But before we do, I also want to show you what apps in ChatGPT really looks like. All right, so the way you could use this new feature is by simply heading over to the chat box on the ChatGPT app and typing in the @ symbol as follows. And once you do that, you can see the applications that are currently available with this feature. I tried using it with Canva and Figma, but honestly, I wasn't really impressed, but you could try it out yourself. Maybe in my case, it was the use case I gave it that it wasn't able to really execute well on. You can, for example, click on Figma. In my case, I gave it a sketch I found online and I told it to basically recreate it on Figma. But instead of creating the layout of the sketch I gave it, it just created a wireframe out of it. So again, not really impressed. So let's get to the part of the video which did impress me, and that is the agent builder. All right, so in order to be able to use the agent builder, we need to head over to platform.openai.com/agent-builder. As you can see, I'm going to leave the link in the description if you want to try it out yourself. But once you are here, you can see that I already have a workflow created. This was actually from one of the templates that they already provide. As you can see, we got data enrichment, planning helper, customer service, structured data Q&A, document comparison, and internal knowledge assistant. I think this was the template I used. As you can see, it also says try agent, answer questions from employees. But in our case, let's just create a new one together. All right, so once created, it provides us with this basic workflow to begin with, which consists of two nodes. We have the start node here, which is equivalent to N8 and trigger. And as you can see, this is where we define the workflow inputs. And in our case, we have an input variable set to string. We could also add more state variables here and choose the type we want it to be. And then the second one is the agent node. Inside here, we can set its name, set its instructions, include chat history, should be equivalent to the memory tool in N8N. Then we have the model that we can select from, the tools that we can provide it with, and also the output format, either text, JSON, or widget. I'm not entirely sure about this widget thing here, but I'm definitely going to be looking deeper into it and make a video around just this agent builder in the following days. So definitely stay tuned and subscribe if you want to see that. So when we look at the tools, we can see this ChatGPT thing come up again, client tool. Then we got the hosted tools here, such as MCP server, file search, which I want to use, by the way, the file search for testing their internal RAG capabilities. Then we got the web search code interpreter and also local function running, right? And one thing that strikes me is how minimalistic it is, because when you look at the options we have to the left here, it's super minimal. I think it looks pretty. Here we have the agent again, an and node, and it says here, and I'm guessing this is, as the description suggests, to basically choose the output of the workflow. We have a node here, which probably is a sticky node. Let me just test this one out. Yep, indeed it is. Then we have these tools individually set here to the left, and then we got the logic nodes, if else, while, and also user approval, which is nice to have. Then we have the data related nodes such as transform and set state, just like we have in N8N, which is obviously very useful. And it seems like this is all they got currently. I'm pretty sure they're gonna add on to it with time. But with that said, don't underestimate what you would be able to do with this tool here, because it has MCP, and having MCP means you're basically able to connect to any tools, any third-party tools that are out there, which has their own MCP server for us to interact with. So this here alone already basically supercharges the whole utility of this agent builder, and that is exactly the purpose of MCP as well. Now that we looked through the tools, let's actually create our first workflow using this. And let me just remove this one for now. Perfect. And have these two come back here. So for this example, I'm going to attempt to build a knowledge base out of OpenAI's built-in file search system. And I haven't done this in ages, so please bear with me. I think it's this one here. File search, click on upload. And as for the context of this knowledge base, I'm just going to pass it a report from NVIDIA's Q3 fiscal earnings report. So once I have that attached, I'm just going to click on attach, and I think I'm going to name this, and I'm going to call it earnings report, like that. Once I do that, I think I can even select the vector store apparently, but I didn't look at that. But anyway, we have this one here. And now with that, I think we already have our built-in knowledge base. So let's actually just test this one out real quick. And maybe we can just name this agent. I'll call it financial expert. And with that, I'll just click on preview so that we can actually test it out. And for the question that I'm going to ask, maybe I can look for something like this. NVIDIA will pay its next quarterly cash dividend. All right, so for some reason, I was actually not able to run this workflow when I connected it to the file search tool. But you know what? It's the first day, so I'll just forgive them, and maybe we can try a different example instead. So for this, maybe we can do something like a translator or customer support. I know the example is pretty weird, but you know what? Just to be able to see it in action. So what we are going to do here is, instead of naming this financial expert, we are going to call this classifier, and I'm going to say you're a helpful classifier assistant or agent. Okay, and then for the output, let's go with the JSON format and click on add schema, and let's call it request type. And for the type, I'm going to go with enum, and for the enum, I'm going to type in translation. Oops, okay, not here. I think we'll just add one here. Okay. Translation, and I'll call the other one customer support, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to click on update. Let's see the output first. I'm going to click on preview again. So I'm simply going to type in translate this to Spanish. And let's see what the output looks like. Should be translation. So we got the request type set to translation. Perfect. So next I'm going to be adding an if else node here to help with the routing of the workflow depending on the output of the classifier agent. So I'm going to click on this. And for the name, I'll just call this, let's say, translation. And then for the condition, I am going to click on request type, right? Since it's what we're looking for. And this should equal translation. And then we are going to add another condition here that's going to be else if. And for this, we're going to call this customer support. And then for the condition again, not sure why this one, I'll put it this way. Let me just copy this part here, or even all of it, paste it, and then type in customer support instead. And with this, we should have this work properly. So I'm going to actually test this out. I'm going to say translate this first. And maybe it's not really clear like this. Maybe if we added, let's say, an agent here and then another agent, here, like that, and even one more agent for the else condition, basically if it doesn't meet any of these two conditions here. And then let's try to run this one again. Translate this. Awesome. Okay, it actually worked. Perfect. Clarifying, blah, 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 whatever. And then the other one, let's say, please handle my customer support requests. Hopefully this is going to trigger this middle agent, and it actually did that. Perfect. So we were able to actually create a pretty simple workflow with a classifier agent that classifies the type of request being made. And then we have 3 agents here that would respond depending upon the type of request being made. All right, so with that, we're done looking at an example workflow with OpenAI's Agent Builder. Once you're done, you could actually just publish it to production by clicking on Publisher, and to deploy it on your application, you apparently have 2 ways, which I haven't really looked into. But like I said, I'm definitely going to be making some videos, a video on this topic in the following days, so stay tuned. You have 2 options here. One is using their chat kit, and you can follow the instructions here. And the second way is by using their agents SDK. And this is the code for both in TypeScript and Python. Once you have this code added into your website, it will basically pop up as a widget. But with that out of the way, let's get to the part of the video which I'm personally most excited about, and that is generating videos with SORA 2. As you guys probably know, generating videos with SORA 2 was only given to select few people who had access to the tokens. And I was just keenly waiting for them to actually make it accessible for everyone. And that's exactly what they announced on Dev Day. So we are going to start testing it. All right, so for this, I'm actually going to use File.ai, as they already have the integration. As you can see here, it's part of the recently added APIs. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on text to video. I think I'm going to go with image to video so that we could basically use the reference points to begin with. And like I said, or maybe I may have not said it yet, but I haven't really even tried it once. So I'm going to be doing this with you for the first time, and I have no idea what I want to even generate yet. So please give me a moment for me until I come up with an idea. By the way this is going to work is I'm going to pass in my OpenAI's key, so that you can basically use it from my credits over there instead of me having to pay from my credits on this app, right? So that's what I'm going to do. But before we do that, give me a moment until I come up with an idea. All right, so I switch over to text to video because I'm going to try to create something funny out of this. And to be honest, I was like, what first comes to my mind? And the first thing that came to my mind for some reason is the Will Smith and Chris Rock incident. So what I want to try to do here is imagine, and also you guys definitely know, they had Will Smith eat spaghetti and it didn't start off well, but now it's really good. What I want to try to do is I want to repurpose or reimagine it by saying something like, imagine Will Smith eating I don't even know why this came to my mind, but let's see what happens when I run this bit, if it's even going to work. All right, so I've tried a few prompts before this, and unfortunately it didn't work. And because of that, what I have here is something pretty boring. I have this image of an interior with furnitures and some objects in it. And what I'm telling it to do is basically make the interior first look empty and make those objects and furnitures pop into existence gradually, while Sam Altman enters the frame as they appear and says, all at Open IKEA. I know it's not even funny, but let's see for the sake of trying if first of all this is even going to work. Again, for some reason it got flagged by the content checker, so that's pretty annoying, and I'm not sure what to think about that. But maybe if I just, for the sake of this, remove Sam Altman's name here and try running this again so that we could at least see if Sora is able to come up with good UGC ads or just advertisements for products in general. All right, so for some reason, this request took longer than 30 minutes, which is why it threw an error and failed. So what I did then was ran the same request again, and this time it took just a few minutes, and this is the results. So you can see that the objects do appear gradually as we told it to, but a caveat is that the frames on the wall does not have the same picture. And apart from that, it does seem to do a pretty good job. And of course, you have to keep in mind that this is just image to video and not image to video pro. So I'm guessing that it would have done a better job if we did select that option. And the second one here is a handheld selfie shot, bright daylight from the car window. And originally I wanted Elon to be saying that, but then I remembered that you actually need to get the permission of these people to be able to use in order to be able to use them as a cameo. But yeah, this is what the video looks like.
OpenAI just made video generation real. Yeah, this one isn't real either. OpenAI just made video generation real. Yeah, this one isn't real either.
So here you can see that it is not really a handheld selfie shot as we told it to, but I'm pretty sure you could fix this by just, adjusting the prompt. It has to do with the poor prompt that I gave it. And the next one I created was this 8-second shot, I think. Yeah, exactly. Of the very famous Bigfoot and Yeti videos. And again, I think I didn't really do it justice with the way I prompted it, but this is a text to video generation, not the text to video pro. I do have another one that's currently running, which is going to be text to video pro. So we'll see the difference between the two. But for now, let's take a look at what this one looks like.
Wi-Fi up here. Finally, someone who gets it. Bro.
All right, perfect. But this one here looks more cartoonish than real. So I'm guessing that we could fix that by basically specifying in the prompt for it to actually look hyper realistic. And finally, we have the pro version of this. And this one basically cost me like 30 seconds per second, 8, and multiply that by 8. That's going to be around $2.4. So let's see what the result is going to be like. But in hindsight, I realized that I should have definitely spent more time around how Sora works and, tried out some use cases, especially the monetizable ones. So what I've decided is I'll just show you guys this result here. And once I'm done with that, I'll just wrap up the video here. And once I'm done uploading it, I'll start looking into ways we could actually monetize Sora 2 by maybe combining it with tools like Nano Banana and to generate things like UGC ads or just advertisements in general. But definitely stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited to see its capabilities to its full extent and whether or not it does live up to its hype. But with that said, we are still waiting for this process to complete. It's been, I think, over 5 minutes now, so I'm guessing that it should be ready in maybe a minute or two. So I'll just see you when it is. So unfortunately, the exact same thing happened, and so it didn't generate the video, but for some reason I realized that it still deducts from my budget or from my credit, which is kind of annoying, but I guess it is what it is. And I'm guessing the reason to this is because of the load it is currently experiencing from people all around the world basically testing these models. So I'll just wait it out a bit. But all in all, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was, to be honest, quite difficult to film because of how many times things failed, but as long as you enjoyed it, then I'm happy. And if you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate if you leave it a like and definitely consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. But until next time, take care.